Reflexive verbs in Hebrew describe actions that the subject performs on themselves. To identify Hebrew verbs, we can find their infinitive form, which begins with lamed, either by le, li, or la, and such a sign acts as the preposition to, followed by a root pattern. When it comes to reflexive verbs, they will have additional characteristics that will make them distinctive. To identify Hebrew reflexive verbs, look for the prefix heat, which will come after lamed and before the root pattern. So, the internal pattern will often begin with lamed acting as the preposition to, continue with the reflexive prefix heat, and finish with the root pattern. If a verb expresses an action that the subject does to themselves, it's reflexive, like the verbs להיתרחץ, to wash oneself, להתלבש, to get dressed, להסתכל, to look at oneself, להתאמן, to train oneself. As you can see, all of these verbs are reflexive because of the prefix heat inside of them. To conjugate reflexive verbs in Hebrew, at least in the present tense, their conjugations are no different from how regular verbs are conjugated. Just like regular verbs, reflexive verbs have no verb endings for any tense, but just for gender, either masculine or feminine, and number, singular or plural, but not person. This means that pronouns will get the same form depending on gender and number. Let's conjugate the verb להתרחץ, to wash oneself. When conjugated in the present, it will have a basic verb pattern, only being affected by gender and number. Masculine singular subjects like ani, ata, and hu will preserve the three-letter root and be מתרחץ, אני מתרחץ, אתה מתרחץ, הוא מתרחץ. I wash myself, you wash yourself, and he washes himself, all masculine and singular. Feminine singular subjects like ani, at, and he will borrow the previous conjugation only with an additional letter. מתרחצת, אני מתרחצת, את מתרחצת, היא מתרחצת. I wash myself, you wash yourself, and she washes herself, all feminine and singular. Masculine plural subjects like אנחנו, אתם, and הם will be מתרחצים, אנחנו מתרחצים, אתם מתרחצים, הם מתרחצים. We wash ourselves, y'all wash yourselves, and they wash themselves, all masculine and plural. The ubiquitous ending im further shows that the conjugations are masculine. Feminine plural subjects like אנחנו, אתן, and הן will be מתרחצות, אנחנו מתרחצות, אתן מתרחצות, הן מתרחצות. We wash ourselves, y'all wash yourselves, and they wash themselves, all feminine and plural. The ubiquitous ending ot further shows that the conjugations are feminine. This is how reflexive verbs are conjugated in the present in Hebrew. Each conjugation follows a root pattern, and so the Niqqud pattern across every conjugation must be known, because it is consistent across many verbs. but the root letters will change based on the verb's meaning. Let's conjugate the other verbs I showed previously, like להתלבש, to get dressed. Try conjugating the verb using its pattern, and see if you can get the conjugations right. Now, I will show and pronounce them. אני מתלבש. אני מתלבשת. אתה מתלבש. את מתלבשת. הוא מתלבש. היא מתלבשת. אנחנו מתלבשים. אנחנו מתלבשות. אתם מתלבשים. אתן מתלבשות. הם מתלבשים. הן מתלבשות. Now, let's see the verb להסתכל, to look at oneself. Try conjugating the verb. Now, I will show and pronounce the conjugations. אני מסתכל. אני מסתכלת. אתה מסתכל. את מסתכלת. הוא מסתכל. היא מסתכלת. אנחנו מסתכלים. אנחנו מסתכלות. אתם מסתכלים. אתן מסתכלות. הם מסתכלים. הן מסתכלות. Now, let's do one last verb, להתאמן, to train oneself. אני מתאמן. אני מתאמנת. אתה מתאמן. את מתאמנת. הוא מתאמן. היא מתאמנת. אנחנו מתאמנים. אנחנו מתאמנות. אתם מתאמנים. אתן מתאמנות. הם מתאמנים. הן מתאמנות. Overall, this is how reflexive verbs work in Hebrew. And actually, when you learn the language, it's very easy to find them because they're used almost everywhere. Other common reflexive verbs that you can find are להתקלח, להתקלח, to shower oneself, להתנהג, להתנהג, to behave oneself, להצטער, להצטער, to feel sorry, להתפלל, להתפלל, to pray oneself. The conjugations of these verbs follow the root pattern because such patterns are consistent across many verbs. However, other concepts about reflexive verbs should be known. Some verbs can be reciprocal, meaning done to each other, or intransitive, meaning not done to anything, and context will tell the difference. In such a case, reciprocal reflexives indicate that two or more people do something to each other. A common verb that shows this idea is להתחבק, להתחבק, meaning to hug each other. So, if we say something like הם מתחבקים, הם מתחבקים, the phrase would mean they hug each other, and thus the meaning is shared between people. Moreover, it's possible to find reflexives with unique definitions, meaning their implications may be reflexive, and their pattern can omit the consonant taf from the prefix. Such uncommon reflexives can be להישאר, להישאר, meaning to stay or to remain, implying that one can keep oneself in place. להיזהר. להיזהר, meaning to be careful or to watch out, implying caution with oneself. Furthermore, some verbs in Hebrew can be transformed into a reflexive version. By using the three-letter pattern of the root, we can often spot the root and predict the reflexive meaning from its regular form. For instance, ללבוש. ללבוש means to wear, and it can be transformed into a reflexive version. להתלבש. להתלבש, to dress oneself. לרחוץ. לרחוץ means to wash, and it also can be transformed into a reflexive version. להתרחץ. להתרחץ, to wash oneself. At the same time, this concept relates to verbs with double identity, meaning that the verbs can have a reflexive and active form with more meaning, like ללבוש, which can mean to dress someone else, aside from meaning to wear. לרחוץ. לרחוץ can also mean to wash something or someone, aside from meaning to simply wash, so the concepts connect. In conclusion, this is how reflexive verbs fully work in Hebrew. The context defines their meanings, they can be found in daily sentences, and reciprocal reflexives are common too.